home from the asylum every night, and he had a girlfriend named Rusty. Dusty and Rusty, they both dressed in white, and she was this much taller than me.
Calm, disciplined, and universally respected. That's how Hollywood described Robert Duvall for more than half a century. But at 94, the legendary actor finally broke his silence, and what he revealed stunned everyone. In a rare moment of candor, Duvall named 6 actors he now calls the enemy. These weren't distant rivals or Hollywood strangers. They were men he once loved, admired, and learned from. Among them were his idol, his brother in art, and even his mentor. And yet every single one was a Hollywood giant. The first name on his blacklist, Al Pacino, the man he once called family. Their friendship was once the stuff of legend, forged in the fire of 1970s cinema. The two shared an apartment in Beverly Glen, splitting rent, canned noodles, and big dreams. They called each other brothers, promising to rise together. But decades later, that bond would dissolve in silence and betrayal. The breaking point came during negotiations for The Godfather Part 3. Paramount's offer was clear. Pacino would earn $5 million plus a share of profits, while Duvall was offered just $1 million flat. The message stung deeply. One brother was worth more than the other. Duvall didn't argue or plead. He folded the contract, stood up, and left the room. Hours later, a fax landed on Francis Ford Coppola's desk with a single sentence that said everything. "I won't return just to be someone's backdrop." That quiet defiance ended a 20-year brotherhood. Duvall retreated to his Virginia farm, searching for smaller, more truthful roles, while Pacino ascended to mythic stardom, the face of ambition and chaos. When studio executives tried to mend the rift, Duvall refused, and Pacino declined to cut his pay. "You can't preach family on screen and forget it off screen," Duvall later told a reporter. The film went on without him, and critics immediately felt the void. "When Duvall left," wrote the Chicago Tribune, "The Godfather lost its moral compass." The two men never reconciled. Decades later, at the 2011 Oscars reunion, they stood just feet apart. Two icons bound by silence, their eyes fixed anywhere but on each other. Number 2. Francis Ford Coppola, the teacher who became a stranger. For Robert Duvall, losing Coppola wasn't just the end of a friendship. It was the unraveling of a bond that had once defined his artistic soul. In 1971, a young visionary Coppola pointed across a smoky casting room and said, "He's the Tom Hagen I've been looking for." That one moment changed everything. It wasn't just a role, it was an awakening. Coppola became Duvall's mentor, his compass in a chaotic industry, the man who taught him that acting wasn't about fame, but truth. Together they created The Godfather, a masterpiece of loyalty, silence, and moral conflict. Themes that would later mirror their own relationship in painful ways. But by the late 1970s, the cracks had begun to show. On the grueling set of Apocalypse Now, a production cursed by chaos, heat, and ego, Duvall's trust began to erode. During the now legendary napalm scene under the scorching Filipino sun, he collapsed from dehydration, his lips split, his vision blurring. Coppola didn't comfort him. Instead, he said coldly, "Do it again." "The light isn't right." Duvall did it. He threw up blood, stood back up, and finished the take. The scene became immortal, but the man behind it was quietly broken. Apocalypse Now went on to win the Palme d'Or, but Duvall's reverence for his teacher never recovered. He began to see Coppola the way many saw Brando, a genius capable of brilliance and cruelty in the same breath. And then came the final blow, The Godfather Part 3. When Paramount sent Duvall the offer, a meager $1 million compared to Pacino's $5 million, he didn't just feel underpaid. He felt disrespected by the very family that once claimed to honor loyalty above all. He refused, saying, "I won't act in a film about family if that family doesn't respect each other." Coppola tried to make amends, sending handwritten letters and personal notes, begging for reconciliation, but Duvall never responded. What began as admiration turned to silence, and that silence hardened into contempt. The man who once called Coppola "my teacher" would later refer to him only as "the director." They never met again. Two men who together redefined American cinema, now separated by pride, pain, and a single question Duvall could never answer. How could the man who taught me truth forget how to live it? Number 3. Marlon Brando, the idol who became the enemy. When Robert Duvall first met Marlon Brando on the set of The Godfather in 1971, He felt like he was standing before a god. Brando was the man every actor studied, the raw, unpredictable force behind On the Waterfront and A Streetcar Named Desire. Duvall had spent years dissecting his performances, memorizing every pause, every sigh, every flicker of emotion. But the day Brando arrived on set, 2 hours late, cigarette dangling from his lips, sunglasses shielding his eyes, 3 assistants trailing behind, the myth began to crumble. Brando refused rehearsals, ignored blocking, and demanded cue cards be taped to walls and even to other actors' backs. He changed lines without warning, throwing entire scenes into confusion. For Duvall, a man who believed in craft, discipline, and respect for the text, it was chaos masquerading as genius. He was the soul of the film, Duvall would later say, and the enemy of every actor inside it. Brando's presence was magnetic, but to Duvall, it was also corrosive. When Paramount quietly awarded Brando an additional $50,000 bonus for his performance, Duvall walked out of the press room disgusted. The man he once revered as an artist now felt like a tyrant protected by his own legend. Then came the 1973 Oscars. When Brando won Best Actor for The Godfather, he didn't show up. Instead, he sent activist Sachin Littlefeather to reject the award live on stage in protest of Hollywood's treatment of Native Americans. Half of America cheered. Duvall didn't. "He turned our work into a protest," he told a friend later, his voice thick with disappointment. For Duvall, the performance had been sacred, art separated from politics, and Brando had used it for spectacle. That was the final break. The idol had become an embarrassment, a man who mistook rebellion for truth. When Brando died in 2004, Duvall stayed home. He didn't give a statement or an interview. Instead, he sent Francis Ford Coppola a plain white card with 3 simple words: "Let it end." To Duvall, Brando had once been the embodiment of what acting could be: pure, alive, fearless. But by the end, he represented everything Duvall had come to despise about Hollywood: indulgence, ego, and the decay of discipline. The god he once worshipped had fallen, and Duvall refused to help build a monument to the wreckage. Number 4. Stanley Kubrick, the genius.